All right, YouTube, it is Mr. Mean coming at you this Friday morning, 8 a.m. Here with me, I have the awesome, the super cool, the amazing Mr. Steve Grand. And I say it that way because that's his handle on my Discord, so that's what we're going with. Steve, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, sir, and say some cool things.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on the channel. Yes, Steve Grodzicki here, Steve G. I usually go by Steve G whenever I do these videos, just because it's too difficult to pronounce my surname. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Sir, it is my pleasure. You have been a staunch supporter of the channel. And can we be so rude as to ask what your day job is, or what's your general, what do you do for a living roughly? You don't have to get specifics, but I know it's not RPG design.
I wish it was. I wish that was my day job. No, alas, I'm a federal prosecutor here in Sydney.
Nice.
My branch is mostly drug importations, and these days, unfortunately, we see a lot of internet-based child procuring, child abuse material sort of matters. Yeah, so that's the day job, which is why I need something like RPG writing as my side hustle, right?
Well, I think I think we might have talked about it. I used to be a federal agent for U.S. Customs.
Yeah, my God, yeah.
So I've worked with some of your constituents in the past, many years ago. Don't let these boyish good looks and this super double chin fool you. I'm old. So cool. All right, awesome. But for those that don't know you as the man, you are Steve Grand, the designer of Low Life 2090 and Low Fantasy Gaming, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So that's our two. Yeah, PickPocket Press is the partnership that I've got with my wife, and we've produced over the last few
Wait.
years.
Your wife?
Yes. Yeah.
Why am I talking to you? Get her on the. She's obviously better looking than you. I want to talk to her.
Oh, wait a minute. And she does all the hard.
She does the heavy lifting, right?
Layout. She does the hard stuff, right? I just do the easy writing and hand it over to her for the editing and the difficult.
Nice.
The editing is just a hell of a.
It's hard work. Layout is hard work.
Awful.
And you have a full-time job, and I assume your wife has a full-time job?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, so it's all
So for people that don't know, for the aspiring game designers out there, on a scale of 1 to 10, taking the passion out of it, because passion messes everything up. That's why we're married with kids now, and our lives are over. But taking the passion out of the RPG design, the work, judging the work on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard is it?
I would say that part that I do, which is mostly writing and the designing, I suppose. Yeah, I don't think it's that hard, man.
You're killing me. Come on, everybody. We know it's a 20.
It's a 7 out of 10.
It's a 20 out of 10. 7 out of 10. But even still, that's still pretty rough. 7 out of 10 is pretty rough. If 10's the worst. Yeah, it is. For those that don't know.
10 for editing.
Yeah, for those that don't know, it's really hard. The editing, the layout, and then dealing with Kickstarter adds an extra level of complexity to it, which makes it even worse, because now you're dealing with a third entity or fourth entity, because you got printers and those people, and then the artists who can be fickle little bitches, but we love them because they make amazing art. And your books have always. I know you use a lot of open source art. Especially in low fantasy, but it's super cool. And then my buddy Jay over at Feral Games Inc., I was going through the Delve, the RPG, and he's got some of the same art that's in your book, or I should say your book has some of the same art, because you guys both use the same open source art. And to be honest, the art fits the media. And so I personally don't care, because I love Jay's stuff. I'm a huge supporter of Feral Games Inc., and I'm also a huge supporter of PickPocket Press, as you found out, because I think absolutely. I own everything now.
that's getting ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah,
I know. You're taking up half my shelf, sir. Between you and Jay, I need to go buy a new house.
I'm so sorry.
Hey, I know.
We'll stop producing things. But yeah, look, I think with the smaller indie, creators, it is more, art is really expensive, right? It's the biggest expense, obviously, of the production. So, and one thing actually that we do try and do is, particularly with Dean Spencer, who's one of the amazing artists whose stuff is on Drive-Thru, for example, is we will commission a piece or various pieces which will end up becoming stock art. So we'll sort of a win-win. As far as I'm concerned, it's a win-win. We get the art for cheaper. Dean gets to also, put it out as stock art for other artists to use. And yeah, so I think it's a win-win. But and obviously what we do is you'll see it in our book first, but a couple of months after that it'll go up as stock art, and so you'll see it all over the place. So,
and it helps that artist because he gets exposure. He or she gets even more exposure, right? And then you see like pieces in Feral Games Inc.'s stuff and yours. That's even more exposure. So, like I said, I consider it a win-win, especially when the art's good.
Anytime I see some of that commission stuff which has become stock art, I'm always like, was one of ours. That's
awesome.
Our idea.
So let's I wanted to ask, so I found your stuff late in life, and I got hooked on low fantasy gaming, and then Jason Hobbs of Hobbs and Friends, and I did a recording, and we recorded a 4-part session of low fantasy gaming where I GM'd, and Hobbs was a player, which was cool for him because he's always the GM. And then he hosted it over on his channel. A lot of great responses to that, and I fell in love with the system. And I think I said it back then that low fantasy gaming is everything that D&D wants to be when it grows up. And I honestly, truly consider that high praise coming from myself because I'm a dick and I'm very picky. D&D is a fine game. I have nothing wrong with D&D. It's not for me. And there's nothing wrong with saying that, right? We have to know what we like and what we don't like. We try to like everything. We'll just go insane. And, well, I'm already there. But then I see this Kickstarter for Low Life 2090, and I'm so gung-ho. I click on one of the rewards, not really realizing that I clicked on the low fantasy gaming reward. And so then everything clears, the Kickstarter funds, awesome. I'm so excited. And I get the email, we've collected your pledge for the low fantasy gaming retro bundle. And I'm like, wait, what? No, I wanted low life.
What?
I screwed something up. Shocker. And so it was funny because I reached out, through Kickstarter, and I said, hey guys, I'm an idiot. I wanted to back low life, and I actually wind up backing the bundle for low fantasy gaming, which I already own everything. So, and either you or your wife or whoever's handling your Kickstarter stuff reached out and said, mate, no problem. We got you covered. And then that's what started our kind of sort of our relationship, our bromance, if you will. Don't tell your wife. Don't tell your wife. I'm sure she's better looking than me.
I remember. I remember that sort of coming about. So thank you so much for supporting all these books that we're producing, because without the Kickstarters, we couldn't do it, because and it comes back to that art cost. It's so expensive to create art. If we didn't have those sort of Kickstarters running, it just wouldn't be possible.
And to me, that's what Kickstarter is. It's to help the guys like you, the guys like Jay, the guys like Goodman Games, because even though they're kind of big, they're still there's only a couple of guys working there, and they produce such amazing stuff. Like you and Jay, you guys produce phenomenal stuff, and that's what makes it really nice is, that's quality product. It reads well, it plays well. I mean, I think you saw the low life of the early beta that I did with the Batman, who also was in the same boat as I did. He backed in a hurry to get on the hype train and wind up backing for the low fantasy bundle instead of getting the low life the Low Life bundle, and so I think you did the same for him, and so he's extremely happy as well, and he's a friend of the channel too. So
and actually he helped out heaps, and you guys helped out a lot when you were running that. Low Life sessions in particular, that was in the beta stage, and we were still getting feedback from all different people.
Yeah.
And the guys, the meanies who were playing in that game, they were sending us feedback.
I know, it was
really
awesome.
It did help, and we did make some changes based on that feedback.
Yeah.
So you guys,
and I saw it. I mean, I think I shot you a message right after you sent out the next iteration of the update, and I was like, oh, the stuff we talked about's in there, yay! And Batman called me up and it was like, dude, our changes made it in. I was like, yeah, dude, see, that feedback is important. It gives validation to me, right, as a GM and as a player, and to my players, and it gives validation to you, knowing that you're making a product that people want, and that it works.
That's right.
Yeah. So
no, totally. Yep.
I know there was some.
What? Just going to say, just really briefly, you know how you ran the scenario with there was a little girl or something involved towards the end of it.
I'm not a nice person.
Yeah, no, but it was really cool, and so I stole that idea and I stuck it in the Low Life book. Right, if you read the little bit on how to play. The example scenario.
Yes, the girl pinging. Yeah, I read that last night. That was really good.
That was anyway. It was a little bit different, but yeah.
No, but I saw it.
By your,
imagine my surprise when I'm reading the special credits in the thanks, and I saw Mr. Mean. Thank you, man. That you touched my cold dead heart. It was. I was honored. Thank you so much.
Of course.
It's part of why we do this, right? To make our heads even bigger. But it truly is a fun game, and I've said this in the past. I love Cyberpunk. I love the world of Shadowrun. I do not like the mechanics. I abhor them. I love Cyberpunk, but the new Cyberpunk Red or 2077 is it's not my jam. I like it. I think it's neat. I like the mechanics, but the way they did things, I just don't agree with. And and that's the joy of freedom of choice, right? And then of course I found Low Life, and I went, snap, this is everything I want. It's got a little bit of complexity, it's got a ton of flavor and attitude, and it's got magic and monsters. So I've got you put your chocolate in my peanut butter, so to speak, and it's two great tastes that taste great together, and I think you made a better game than those two combined.
It's interesting,
but it's different. It is different.
Some people really dislike the urging of the your science fantasy or cyberpunk fantasy style.
Yeah,
games really hate it. Only want their pure cyberpunk.
Sure. But you can play this one either way, though.
You could, yeah.
There is the option. Everybody can be a human, or even in Cyberpunk, though, there was a couple of splat books like Knight's Edge, which introduced poser gangs and vampires. It was a Cyberpunk supplement. And then you had orcs, and you had elves, elf posers, and stuff like that. That was an offbeat supplement in their Interface magazine, I think it was. That was a fan-produced fanzine. And then they had Knight's Edge, which was a vampire supplement. That was it was a genetically enhanced being that was basically a vampire, and he gets loose, and it's your job to go out and find him. And I think they called him Adam. I have the cover of it. It's buried in that shelf. If I'd have thought about it, I'd have drug it out. The cover was a dark cover. It said Knight's Edge, and it had like a muscular, handsome-looking dude, but he had fangs, and it said Knight's Edge. Yeah, always.
Vampires,
right. Beautiful
You're always good
people.
Looking.
Yeah, I know, right?
I didn't realize that.
I'll never be a vampire.
Oh, man.
You're better looking at me, sir. I got the hair, though. That's the only thing I got going. And it's all gray now, as you can see. Look at that. I'm streaked like Medusa. So I know there was some.
Plenty of gray. Don't worry.
I noticed. I remember the original cover for Low Life, and I liked it. It was very dark, but I liked it. And then you came up with the new cover with the green, and I know at least on my channel, there was a lot of back and forth. But for overall, I think most people enjoyed it. And the green really made it pop. And like I said in my video yesterday, the video doesn't do it justice, but the the cover really pops. That neon like
it is
glowy
nice,
green.
yeah.
Just let me turn the light on here.
You know what, that cover, that's the Daniel Mercy cover, and Daniel did a lot of the other, did all the character art in here and a lot of the weapons art. He's a wonderful illustrator. And
I'm gonna
we've used his art in Low Fantasy Gaming, in Adventures, in Low Life now. But this green cover was actually the original cover, and I wasn't certain about it. Steph and I weren't certain about it, so we went and got another one done by Richard Bagnall, which is the blue cover.
Yeah.
And the blue cover is in the book. Just it's towards the back in the Mendoza City part, but that is in there. But what ultimately happened was, when this is partly, I'm sure what is to blame is our lack of publishing skill. We could not get the blue cover to print to a quality that we were happy with.
I remember you showed a proof. I think you got a proof back from the printer, right? And
Yep. So we were getting proofs and just couldn't get it to work, and so we went, right, we're going to try the green cover, and then actually we ended up liking the green cover better. So
there you go.
That's how it came about.
Yeah, no, the art in the book is fantastic. I love every piece seems appropriate. I mean, obviously I love the pictures of the gear, because it gives you that sense of the cyberpunk, right? This fantastical gear that lets you do things that normal people can't do, or super cool guns. It's all about the guns, and you got all these bullpup designs and these low profile designs or futuristic designs, and they pop. They really say this is cyberpunk, and so or just a high-tech future. We don't always have to say cyberpunk, but
yes.
But and then of course you got all the critters and the creepy things in there for the sorcery. So it really it sings, man. It sings. You knocked it out of the park, and I don't want to try to make your head any bigger than it already is, but you knocked it out of the park, brother. Well,
thank you.
It is really cool
glad.
looking. I like the paper quality. Sometimes with drive-through, when you get the print copies, they're not the greatest. But this one the paper feels nice. Nothing smudged. There was no blurring. There is a little bit of bleed, but you have to be careful and look at it, because it's actually not bleed. It's the watermark on the pages, which adds a nice touch, but when you look at it, as many RPG books as I do, as you can see, there's a few laying around. Sometimes you get a little blind to production quality. You know what I mean? Because a book is a book is a book. And so it took me a moment, because I was like, is this bleed through? Is this? And I was like, oh no, that's the watermark. That's just the background fade of the page. And wow, that's pretty cool. So, and I didn't notice that until late last night when I was laying in bed reading it. And I was, because I thought I had smudged some of the ink, and I was like, no. I said, I'm going to give Steve shit if that's the case. But no, it wasn't. It was just the way the watermark was and the way the light was hitting it. And so, yeah, man, I hate to keep saying it, but cool book, really good. How was the Kickstarter process? Because this is your second one, right?
Yeah, this is our third one.
It is the
because
third.
We did one for Low Fantasy, one for Deluxe,
right?
Make it color and expanded.
Right.
Then we did Fantasy Companion, and then now we've
fourth.
done Life. So this is, I think, third one. But
third?
Look, the Kickstarter process is it's fine. I mean, I think you have to come to it with. Seems to me the best way to come to the Kickstarter is with the book either completely written or almost completely done.
Yeah.
And then you shoot your idea out there and you see if you can get enough people interested and keen and want to support it, play it, or they want to see it at least come to fruition. Because I think sometimes people will throw money at a project just to support it. They like the idea of it. They might not play it, but they like to see it. That's been
my thoughts as well. Like a lot of times, if you say, "Oh, 5th edition," people will just throw money at it because they want to see another 5th edition book, And while not necessarily a bad thing, it's also not necessarily a good thing, right? Because then a lot of garbage gets out there. And then you get projects like yours, and I mention Jay all the time because Jay is a personal friend and friend of the channel, and he has supported me, throughout the years that I've been doing this, and I've supported him, and he doesn't get nearly as much support as I think he should, but then when he throws out a 5th edition supplement, he seems to get a lot of support. So obviously he kind of has to go where the money is because he's feeding his family. That's his daytime job, is a publisher, and game designer.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. If that's I can completely understand.
Right.
If that is your main source of income, you can see why people jump on the 5e bandwagon.
And I feel like he's doing these D100 systems just for me because he knows I hate. I'm not a fan of 5th edition, so he puts out a D100 version or his off D6 systems. Years ago, he showed me Blood Iron. He showed me some concept art that he had for it, and he sent it to me. We were doing a video chat, and because he's in England, and I mean the art just blew me away. And like you said, the art is so expensive, and he had this great concept. And the book finally, this year came out. As what we've been chatting for 3 going on 4 years, and the book just came out. And it's doing great. So kudos to him. But he doesn't have that day job, so Kickstarter is his life's blood.
Okay.
And
that makes perfect sense. I mean,
right. And I love. I was so glad to see that Low Life was not 5th edition. And so the point of that whole tirade was to say that you can make it without doing 5th edition support, so to speak.
Absolutely.
It just depends. Now, did the Kickstarter go as well as you thought it did, or were you pleased with it?
Definitely pleased with it. Absolutely. For us, the moment, the Pickpocket Press side of things is definitely what I would call a side hustle. So, it's something we do, partly hobby, partly extra income. We definitely need Steph and I, we need our day jobs to pay the house and all the stuff that comes with the family. It would be an amazing dream to turn it into a, full-time business, but for the moment, it's still at that stage where, we would have to build it up substantially to try and convert one of us over to a full-time.
Yeah. Well, and the hard part there too is, consumerism, right? You put a book out, and I can guarantee you, I got my book yesterday, and I know there's others out there that got their book yesterday, and they've probably already read it cover to cover. Maybe they were off yesterday. No, seriously. And so here's the thing. They've read it, 318 pages. They've read it cover to cover, and now they're going, what's next? Well, there's nothing else to buy. Then another month goes by. This is the sad truth, though. Content is king, and in this publishing format and this mercantile format, you can't stay ahead of the curve. WotC and Pathfinder have proved it. Paizo have proved it. You can't. This book, like I said, there's people out there that have gotten their book, yesterday or today, and they've already read it, right? And so now they're on your website going, okay, where's the first Splat book? Why can't I buy it? And not that it's a negative thing or a bad thing, but even as a full-time publisher, you can't keep up. Because the layout process, the art process, the InDesign, the publishing, the printing, that all takes time, and you just can't keep up with supply and demand unless you've been writing for 10 years and have it all in the background and you're just ready to start. But how many designers and publishers? Because here's the thing, artistic people, you are an artistic person because you're a writer. You have that artistic bent. Whether you're an artist, a writer, a designer, you're artistic in some way, shape, or form. I'm artistic. I provide YouTube content. This is a form of art. You can't keep up with the consumption demand. There's just no way, and so
I agree.
Yeah, to make it in this industry, it's extremely difficult. And even WotC, in the 3.5 days, they were throwing out a book every month, 2 or 3 books every month. But they also had, they had in Redmond, Washington, they had a corporate headquarters with 25 writers and people just churning out stuff. And then they had the OGL side of the business where they were churning out stuff. And that gluttony, brought the kind of the system to a collapse. And so now, while we do want more and more books, we want them to be quality. We want them to be worth reading. And so you'll get, everybody's an 800-pound gorilla behind their keyboard, right? This book sucks and the art's horrible, and blah, 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 And that's part of where this channel sprang from.
Never please everybody. That's it.
Yeah. And that's where this channel sprang from. Is I saw a lot of channels for like Paizo and 5th edition. I didn't see any channels for the little guy out there. And so I'd like to think that Mr. Mean is a champion for the little guys, for the Feral Games Inc., for the Pickpocket Press, for the indie design guys out there, Mothership and stuff like that. So
yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And I love it
your
because
work, Mr. Mean.
Yeah. This is amazing. Blood Iron, amazing. Low Fantasy Gaming, amazing. The GM screen you've got for this, amazing. Is that now? And I meant to ask you this because I think you sent it to me as kind of a, hey, check this out. Is that on sale on DriveThruRPG or is that a freebie?
GM screen is a freebie.
Okay.
It's a PDF file, so you have
Right.
to print it and then into your
Right. Drop it into your
yeah. You drive through. I've just got one of those drive through.
Yep.
It's got clear sleeves, and you just slot it in.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a freebie.
That's a freebie. Now, see, I'm going to call you stupid. I'm going to call you stupid because you could have charged $250 for that, and people would have gladly paid it. But I appreciate and I commend you for making it free because it's a nice GM screen. I really like it, and I was impressed with it, and I can't wait. I'm actually going to run Low Life for my Pathfinder crew here in my house, a local game.
Brilliant.
Yeah, because they've never played a cyberpunk style game. 3 of my players out of my 6 are brand new RPGers. They've never played before.
Yeah.
So they started with Pathfinder. They've played some Mutant Chronicles, which they really like, and then we've played Black Iron, which they adored, they loved, which is from Feral Games. So the next step is to give them a little sci-fi sorcery, of Low Life, and let them see how brutal life really is, in the sprawl in Mendoza City.
I hope it goes well. Hopefully they'll enjoy it. I did see the video actually just recently with I think he was your ex-coworker who had started playing.
Yes.
And
Anthony.
He said he'd been doing a bit of Pathfinder and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love to hear how it goes.
Oh yeah, I will definitely. I doubt I'll record it because it's just you don't want to see this full screen. It's not pretty. And we tried recording a Pathfinder scene in like 20 minutes. It's me bent over with my ass crack, and I'm like, no, we're not publishing that. No, that's not going to happen because there's no good place to put the camera unless you get like a setup with rigs and everything. And I don't have that kind of money, but I think they're going to enjoy it. I really do. I think they seem to really enjoy character creation. And my God, Low Life character creation is super fast. There's no, and I love any game that gives me a random character creation, and you do.
That was, yep. That was a definite design choice that we went with because, in the past when I was playing, Shadowrun or Cyberpunk or any of those to future style games, there's so many things to choose. All your equipment, your cyberware, your vehicles, bits and pieces, your contacts. There's all these things to choose. And if you do it, so what we thought was, well, one of the complaints about these kinds of games tends to be it's too hard to make up a character. It takes too long. We went right. It's going to randomize the vast majority of it. So it's a little mini game in itself,
Yeah. And it's awesome.
Roll for race, roll for class, roll for your contacts, roll for your cyberware, starting cyberware. Of course, as you go on, you'll choose what you want to buy. But really, the only things, you need to select your skills, which is not too much of a choice, and your class abilities, because each class gets a few little abilities. So that's right, and you get, there's a gear pack, of course, so
right.
Your gear is set.
But that just speeds you up into playing, but you still get some choices.
Gets you into the actual game. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, my favorite part is the contacts. Rolling up your contacts. I just think that's so cool because, I mean, you can let your players pick. I let my players pick, but I do like the random, rolling a contact. So you've got a security guard, and you're playing in the game, and then you realize players are creative, right? I mean, that's why we're in this hobby. We get to be creative as a GM and as a player, and you give them these crazy contacts. You got a pizza delivery guy. Well, how the hell is that going to help me? And then you realize, everybody's got to eat, So here, I need
That's right. What has that guy overheard? When he was delivering something,
or drop a bug, right?
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Bug on the bottom of the pizza box. That's a free idea. Anybody can use that. But yeah, just really, slick game design. Super easy mechanics. The layout of the book is amazing. I'm gushing about it, and you knocked it out of the park. But let's get to the hard questions. These are some of the standard questions that I always ask. So the first question is, what got you into the hobby? What's the game that hooked you?
Original game was so I started out with the fighting fantasy books.
Nice.
From Livingston and Steve Jackson. Many years ago when I was in primary school. I didn't read at all, and Dad. No, that's what. I was a kid at school. A kid at school had a I think it was Death Trap Dungeon or Curse of Doom. Anyway, one of those very early.
And it got you hooked.
Fighting fantasy books. Yep, I brought it home. I was reading it. Dad said, "What are you doing? You're actually reading." And like the next month, every week, Dad's given me another one of these books, and that was it.
Awesome.
I was off and running, and by early high school, moved into basic D&D,
right?
Red Box, and then very shortly after that, I think by the time I found D&D, it was already up to advanced D&D. So we were like year 8 or whatever, and we're like, oh, what? There's an advanced version? Oh, we have to play that.
Right. So obviously, advanced means it's better.
For better, exactly. So for better or worse, we very quickly left basic and went on to D&D, and then went from there.
Cool.
So they were the original games.
Awesome. So that's nice. First time I've heard the fighting fantasy ones. I've known of them. Right. But first time someone said that's what their gateway drug was. So that's
completely
yeah,
because
that's
it had the
awesome.
dice and everything. It was half a game, and you could
do it by yourself.
They were like it was like the choose your own adventure, but you also got to fight things. I was like, oh my god, this is perfect. And so anyway, yeah.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So my next favorite question is, barring your games that you've developed or had a hand in, what's your favorite RPG?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Oh, wait, the next question's even harder.
Gosh, I would say that in recent times, it is probably Dungeon Crawl Classics.
Oh, good man. Good man.
I really love the crazy magic in that. The classes are all really fun. It's a dangerous game. There's a lot of randomness. There's lots of charts, right? But I don't mind that. I like charts.
I love it. I love it.
I mean, there's a difference between charts that make the game more complicated and charts that make things easier. In a game. But anyway, I'd have to say at the moment, Dungeon Crawl Classics. I mean, for many years, of course, it would have been D&D.
Right.
But I think I've got to the point where
you've grown up.
That's right. I've sort of branched out beyond that, and
you've matured like a fine wine. You've aged.
Matured. Yeah, like a fine wine, something like that.
Yeah. We'll try to put this. We'll class it up a little bit. I just found the joy that is Mutant Crawl Classic.
Oh,
I picked up the hardback book, so I've got to work on a review for that. But yeah, I'm a huge Goodman Games. I'm actually part of the band, if you understand that terminology. And so I have a binder that's about 2.5 inches thick of just dead characters, and I have a stamp says you are dead.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so it's one of my favorite games to run. I love DCC. Yeah. It's amazing running funnels and stuff. So awesome question. So now the other hard question is, you're on a plane from Australia to the US. You're going to come see your mate John over here in nice and warm and fuzzy Duluth, Minnesota, aka the frozen center of the world. And your plane crashes. You're only allowed to have one RPG. Which RPG is it? You're going to be on an island for the rest of your days, and there's only one book you can have. What book is it?
It's unfair. There's so many books.
How do you think I feel?
Just looking at my shelf.
Have you looked behind me?
Oh, I don't know.
One book. Only one.
No. You know what? I would probably want to. It would either be, DCC, or I would even possibly go back to the second edition D&D, which I did play for so many. We got so much value out of second edition AD&D, me and my group, over like 15 years worth, something like that.
That's a long time.
For a long time. So maybe out of some kind of
nostalgia.
Loyalty to nostalgia.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, that's the one.
Books,
That's the one you're going to be reading. About Armored Class. For the rest of your days. So, all right. So then the next one. Barring your games that you've had a hand in production, what's the one game that you've picked up and you went, blimey, I wish I would have wrote this?
Ooh. Oh.
That one game that you just went, this is brilliant. This is amazing. I wish I would have thought of this. God, if I'd have just thought about it, I would have printed it, made it my own.
I think last game where I thought I wish something along those lines would probably be Warhammer fantasy game.
Good answer.
But I would tweak. Would still tweak that game, but the fourth
well, of course you would. You're a designer.
I did a little review of my likes and dislikes, and I was thinking, Jesus Christ, this game. Why did I make low fantasy gaming when this game's come out? But they are different, and anyway.
What version of Warhammer?
It's got a lot of the stuff that I really like. It's very deadly. There's a lot of randomness. The gods and the forget what they're called, but the cultist style character in that is really amazing, and the world, of course, is amazing. That's just crazy good.
Well, over 30 years, right? Going on 40. The Warhammer world has been around. So yeah.
Yep.
I'm partial to the Green Ronin version that they did in conjunction with the Black Library. In fact, I have most of it. In fact, you can see let me get where can I get my big fat hand in here? Right there. That's all the Warhammer books, and I have the rest of them in a box because I have tons of boxes on either side that you guys can't see. And if I buy any more books, my wife's going to castrate me. So,
oh my God,
we have so many books. So that shelf behind me is 8 feet tall, 6 feet wide, and as you can see, there's no room in there. So it literally takes the whole wall.
Ridiculous collection, honestly.
Yeah, my friend Brian has me beat. He has a full room dedicated with shelves like that lining all the walls. So yeah, my collection is small in comparison to him, but you can see my collection. So, but
it's a big. That's a good shelfie.
That's right, a shelfie. There you go. I like that. I got to put the camera. Yeah. Steve, man, I can't thank you enough for making such a cool game. Giving us an awesome GM screen for free. Low Fantasy Gaming, amazing. The GM screen for Low Fantasy Gaming is actually really, really good as well. I've used it. I love the character sheet, by the way. I printed one last night because I'm going to play in the Batman's game, and I'm going.
Yes. Yep.
I'm gonna play a sorcerer. I think I'm gonna play a mage.
Yep.
I'm gonna play a close.
Cool. Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking. I love that chaos, that random, that the spell could go haywire and just kill everybody in the room, or I could have purple chin hair, tentacles for a week. Whatever, it's all good.
Yeah, I love that stuff. And
right.
Of course, that had to make its way into this game. It was like, if we're going to have magic in this game, it's got to be a dark and dangerous style, vibe to it.
And what's nice is it doesn't always go off, right? Because it just keeps building. And the more spells you start slinging out there, there's a chance, And of course, at first level, you're only going to get a couple, like maybe 4 or 5 spells at most. And that's if you got really high stats, But still, there's a 5%, chance, that it, or 1 in 4 chance that it could go off, right? So I'm very much looking forward to it, and I think the Batman's gonna run a good game. I'm excited to play because I never get to play. I'm always the GM, so although he's gonna torture me, I'm sure, because I tortured him with that little girl.
Yeah, that's right.
That was a fun.
Oh my god!
That was a fun.
If you need games to play, I will run you a game. I'm not saying I'm good at it, but I will do it. I'll jump on there.
Dude, totally. Anytime you want to run a game on the channel, please. I'll be happy to record it, and it's fun. My time is so like you. It's so hard to and the thing is, when we were kids, we had all the time in the world, but no money. Now we're adults. We have the money, but we don't have the time.
Switched around,
and it's so brutal. And my new job is rough. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. And I'm 54, and I'm out there pushing steel all day. So it's cool. I enjoy it. I love it, but it's hard. And when I come home, I literally sit on the couch. I'm dead.
Anytime you've got a new role, it's harder work. You got to get used to all the new people and whatever their processes are.
Yeah, and there's a lot of computer work, which is why they hired me. They wanted somebody that was computer savvy. So, but I still got to push the steel, the pipe and everything that's going out and all the stuff. So it's super exciting. I'm very grateful to have this opportunity, and I still be able to do this. And like I said, I have today off to do this and chat with you, and we were able to get this time together. So I really do appreciate you making the effort, staying up late.
Thank you so much.
It's awesome. Is there what's coming up in the future? Okay, is there anything you can talk about?
I can tell you we have, at the moment, this month, I'm working on the 3rd adventure for Low Life 2090. So it's 2 free adventures on drive-through right now. There's an intro, very short intro adventure, and then there's the proper the first proper adventure, No Sprawl for Old Men.
Yes.
But this next one is called Fallen Star, and that is the second sort of proper adventure, and that will be out in a couple of days. Maybe tomorrow, just depends on how all the editing goes. But
nice. Yeah,
I'm really excited about that one. It's like 3 pages or something. It's a pretty decent size, and anyway, there's a few twists and turns, and I can't wait till people start to play that one and figure out.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'll be notified when it goes live because I follow you on drive-through, so I'll definitely pick it up. Yeah, I'll pick it up when it's ready. Are we going to see a companion for Low Life like we did for Low Fantasy?
Hopefully.
Not to put you on the spot or anything,
but depends what happens, throughout this year. But I think there's definitely tons of scope for. We had a 300-page book in mind, and you've got vehicles, cyberware, magic, so many things, and then the city, the setting. There's so many things in there. It was really a lot of the options were down. It would be very easy to, for example, you could easily create some PDFs of here's some more guns, here's some more cyberware, here's some more spells.
Here's a weapons catalog, cyberware catalog, all that.
Yeah. Then you later on sort of pull it into a print book, pull it all together
Right.
in 12 months.
Kind of like
time.
you did with your adventure compendiums, or your adventure.
Yeah, and exactly. And but it's also system, same as low fantasy is 99% open game content. So anyone could make up extra cyberware for it, or if they wanted to do a bit more of a space opera style hack, they can go ahead and just they can take the vast majority of this, change it around, add some starships and whatever, and boom, produce a PDF or a book or whatever. They don't have to get permission from us.
Right. I noticed that in the beginning of the book.
Content.
In the beginning of the book, you even say that, make this your own. It's open game content. Please, support us by supporting you. By throwing stuff out there. And then of course look at Goblin Scribe. For
exactly.
Amazing cat, man. He's a cool dude. He's been real supportive of the channel, and he's just
super. Yeah,
I mean, I got that compendium he made, that companion, and I was all over it, man. The monk,
it is so cool.
The monk in there, the stuff he added, I was like, oh. So I did a video for it the day it popped. I just happened to have gotten off work in time, and it was able to pick it up and boosted it on my channel, and I hope it helped him. I believe it did, and he seemed very appreciative. And by helping him, it helps you, right? Because people see that.
Oh, absolutely. Look,
it's amazing.
Anyone bringing anything out, it just sort of lifts everybody up. He's got some super creative stuff on there, and there's a bunch of guys, doing similar. JD's got stuff going.
Yep.
Lauren and all that are working on a Varnor supplement. Wiki's got some. It's massive equipment guide, and he's done all the illustrations because he's also an illustrator. It's really awesome.
And that support, you
all
can't
these
buy
projects popping up.
Yeah, you can't buy that kind of support. You know what I mean? It's just amazing that the community steps up, and it put a couple of dollars in Goblin Scribe's pocket. I'm sure it put a couple in yours, because people are going to see that and then want the core books. I'm a Pokemon gamer. I got to catch them all, so I totally understand. So I had to support him. I tell you, for Low Life, I would love to see some sort of cultist book. That would be, Goblin Scribe, if you're listening, brother, get to work. I'm creative, but I'm not focused enough to put it on paper. That whole adventure that I ran that you like so much, that was off the top of my head. I didn't write anything down.
You've got the improv skills down.
Yeah.
We've done it for so long. It's like second nature to you now.
Yeah,
and I think
it is.
Especially when you can do it with that sort of theater of the mind style. You got no limits then, because you don't have to worry about trying to get maps together or whatever.
Right. And while I love the
really
VTT, that's the limit of the VTT. If you're a guy like me, that's a theater of the mind, off the cuff, spontaneous. VTT doesn't work. To a degree it does, but to a degree it doesn't. And so I'll be honest, when I was scripting the Spider Goddess for the low fantasy, it was work. I feel your pain, because I was like, you have to think of all these tangents, and we all know players are going to do the exact opposite of what you want them to do, right? If you say you're going to go left down this corridor, they're going to find a way to go right, So it's like
they're going to dig a hole under the thing.
Exactly, what's below the temple, and you're like, there's nothing below the temple, but oh shit, they really want to go there. I've got to figure out something. Oh, there's a giant spider goddess down there. So it's that improv skill that I think you either have it or you don't. I think it is a learned trait, though. I think you can, with dedication and effort, you can pick it up. And I think that's why there's so few GMs and there's so many players, because GMing, I did a video not too long ago, GMing, is it really that hard? Is it? Because it is, but it isn't. And that's not fair, because for me, GMing is easy. But to other people, I know they struggle really hard with it, and they enjoy it, but it's not easy. And so I get it. It's one of those things that it is a learned skill. It's like artists. It's like drawing, right? I'm an okay drawer. I can look at something and I can recreate it, like a comic book panel. I can draw it, but to draw out of my head, I can't do it. It's not there. And that's the learned muscle skill is not there, because I never practiced it, So it's like anything.
And I definitely, even if you're not super naturally gifted DM, you can still, obviously, the more you practice it, the better you get at it. And I think if you surround yourself, because I don't think that I am particularly good at the improv, but I do know that if I surround myself with the tools, if I've got, NPC generator on my tab and I've got a list of NPC names that I can quickly go to if I need to, or I've got a couple of little scenarios, 2 or 3 in my back pocket in case the PCs go here or they go here. If I've got the tools, I'll be okay.
Right.
But when you're starting out as a GM, you don't know about those tools. Yeah. You're just jumping in and you're like, oh, and so you get that caught in the headlights. Oh, I don't know what to do.
Well, and it's very intimidating, right? Because you throw a book down like this in front of somebody, an inch and a quarter thick, and as a player, I only have to read the character creation rules and the base mechanics. The GM has to read the whole book, And what I always tell aspiring GMs is, no, you don't have to read the whole book. Know the rules. Know the setting, and it can be your own setting, right? You don't have to use Mendoza City. If you're more familiar with Night City, make it Night City. If you're more familiar with Seattle Sprawl, make it Seattle. Get the flavor down. That's for you. And then always elicit feedback from your players. Because that's why you're doing this, right? You're doing it for the players, and if they're not enjoying it, then you're wasting everybody's time. But very rarely if I ran a game where the players were like, well, it really wasn't my cup of tea. May not like the mechanics, but they like the story. And so then it's just a matter of finding the mechanics that work for your group, And I think that's the hardest part. Some guys like a lot of crunch. Some people don't. They just want to roll one die and have the answer. Some people want to roll 20 dice and have, multiple answers. It all depends. But you've given us...
No, totally.
You've given us such an awesome sandbox to play in between low fantasy and low life. The PickPocket name is awesome. Your logo, I don't know where you got that damn logo, but I love it.
And your Commercy made all of the logos. So the same guy who did the cover of Life 2090 and he did the cover of Low Fantasy Gaming also did all the logos. He's a crazy talented man.
I'm telling you, the main Low Life logo and then the PickPocket logo down here are amazing, and then just the font that you chose, like the O with the circle in the middle, almost like a bullseye. It's just perfect, man. It's really well done. The font is, I'm in love with it, dude. It's my new game that I'll be between that and Black Iron. I'm set. I got my deathly horrible fantasy world where elves are the devil, and then I've got my awesome cyberpunk world. I love low fantasy too, but Jay's game does it a little bit more for me. It's a little darker, but low fantasy low fantasy's pretty dark too. But low life is, man, you hit it out of the park. So I can't thank you enough.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any other things you want to promote? Your website or anything like social media, anything like that? Where can people get a hold of you?
The easiest way is either through the Discord. So we've got the Low Fantasy Gaming Discord and the Low Life 2090 Discord. Otherwise, if they just type in Pickpocket Press, it'll bring up our site. Yeah. And that's the best places. Yeah.
And you're on my Discord, Mr. Mean's Discord. You're usually really quick to respond. I mean, and I thank you for that. I know when we were playing the game and we had questions, we would literally be in the middle of the game and we would send Steve a quick thing on Discord and he would answer like that. So it was awesome. So having that feedback from you for questions was amazing. So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Any questions, any comments, anything you want to throw out to the listeners, the viewers?
Thank you for listening. If you do manage to pick this game up, hope you have fun with it. And thank you, everybody, for all your support over the years, because we've been doing it for a few years now. And
I know.
Still going.
It's awesome, man. Well, you're banging out super cool product. So you keep doing stuff like Low Life, and it's the sky's the limit, man. You're killing it, and you and your wife are an awesome team. The artists you have are amazing. So we couldn't ask for a better game, man. Thank you so much. I don't really have. Oh, my pleasure, man. There's no me without you, as the old saying goes. So thank you so much for everything you've done for the community and for the hobby. And keep it up, sir, please. And if there's anything the Meanie Army, the Horde, can do for you, all you have to do is ask. We'll be there for you, man. We really appreciate
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you've been bang on. So as always, everybody, that's all I got tonight. We talked with Steve. If you have any questions or anything, pop them in the show notes there on YouTube, and we'll endeavor to get to them as best we can. Thank you all for watching, all the support you've given to me, all the support you've given to Steve. Without you guys, there is no us. So thank you so much for everything. Peace, love, and happiness. And remember, Mr. Mean says, be nice.